question to you is, there is another challenge that Silicon Valley investors have faced over time, and that's happening in India as well. You are an example of that. You faced competition from the likes of Google and Facebook, clawed into market share and did it well. I think Blue Jeans competes with Cisco at some level. Pramod also sees competition to an extent from Disney. So tell me, how do startups in that case, specifically in a country like India, scale up with the kind of huge examples that you have in your competition?
Look, I think it's true for any startup. It's it's your ability to, as a startup, you have an inherent ability to focus intently on a specific area and get it really, really good. That's probably the only reason why any of the companies on here would succeed. It won't be a function of the market per se to begin with.
Okay.
Now, so I think, you know, the ability to hire amazing engineers, which actually exist today in India, and to show them a path to create world-class products is your first dimension on this.
By when do you think Prime Minister Modi, given the kind of ecosystem that you are seeing right now, you have an ecosystem of partners, you speak to multiple startups. I want to understand, how long do you think it will be for us to be ready? The sense, yes, is that we are gearing up to be the next Silicon Valley. Prime Minister Modi's dream may come true. But are we 10 years ahead, 10 years behind? Are we 15 years?
I don't know whether we are behind or ahead. So I'll tell you, I think, somebody in the panel was mentioning, you go into, on a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning into a coffee shop right now in Bangalore, in Koramangala, in Indiranagar, you'll actually see, people hacking things out and, discussing ideas.
Yeah.
They're not just sitting around and, spending money on coffee only. And I think that change in mindset is already happening. The change in culture is already happening. So to me, it's around the corner. I think the next 10 years or so, India will see some massive growth in the form of great companies getting created, hopefully a bunch of them, reaching $100 billion stage also.
Yeah.
I think if I look at the country at a much broader way, whether we want to solve for education, healthcare, security, you're not going to be able to solve for those challenges of our country by doing the same thing that we've been doing till date and doing more of it.
Yeah.
That's not the solution for those problems. The solution is going to be in something far more, which is, different and disruptive. And therefore, that's going to come from some entrepreneur who might be sitting today at a coffee shop in Koramangala.
Okay, so just a reminder, viewers, we are in the InMobi headquarters in Silicon Valley. So let me ask you, what is the next big bet that InMobi is making? You have inculcated innovation in your basic gene in the company. What really is the next big bet in terms of product and platform that you're looking at? Meep, of course, is already out, and you are expecting about $1 billion in over 3 to 4 years, if I'm correct. What is the next big bet that you're making?
Look, we'll announce a lot of our bets as we come out with them. I think our push on what we believe, fundamentally is broken in the mobile ecosystem. What fundamentally is broken in advertising has been our biggest quest. We are in Silicon Valley. We think we want to make we want to convert advertising into what we think is Apple for advertising, which means we want to make it really, really beautiful, amazingly value-adding for users, and we're going to, turn everything around in the world and hopefully disrupt advertising and, participate in that growth. So, yes, we will come up with many new products because our engineers sitting back in India really are doing innovative work, and we think it's that innovation which has at least given me a lot of hope to say that not just us, but I think many other companies will create products which will go at the global stage based out of India. So
would an IPO also be around the corner? And that really is the concern that most startups have made, that, even if we go to India, even if we set up, how do you scale up? We can't do IPO. Yes, SEBI has kind of tried to ease out the regulations, but the sense I get from startups here, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that it is still difficult to be a startup listing in India. You, of course, have had a significant presence over there. Now, how far would you be from an IPO?
Look, it's hard to speculate how far we are. I think at least a couple of years out.
So 3 years, 5 years?
Yeah, at least 2 to 3 years out for sure.
I can see smiles go out in the panel every time I ask Naveen.
Well, the thing is, the private markets are so good.
Yeah.
Why would you actually unnecessarily go out and
But doesn't that give more visibility? Doesn't that bring in more investors? Doesn't that increase the capital?
Well, visibility is more of a question on, what do you want to do? Look, if you want to continuously innovate, that means when, the fundamental definition of innovation is failure.
Okay.
You have to fail many times to get few of those things right. The public markets are far more crucifying, to say the least, if you continuously not succeed. And so therefore it's far easier for for a lot of companies like ours, given the a lot of private capital that can continue to come in, to not to go public for a long period of time.
But that is something that you will consider.
You have to look, if you have taken you've taken investor money, you have to be able to give them exits, and you have employees who have invested a lot of their time. For a long, you have to give them. So yes, it is on the cards at some point of time for sure.
Okay, I wanted to come back to the startups, but completely out of time. So closing remarks by Suhas. Suhas, I saw you nodding when I asked the IPO question to Naveen. The concern, and you would have seen that, clearly the Prime Minister's office is bringing entrepreneurs like yourself to enable them to understand innovation and help startups innovate, but issues around these basic regulatory hurdles like listing in India, like clarity with respect to bankruptcy laws are still prevalent. Is that also something that the government is looking like when you advise them? Is that something that is also on the anvil?
Yeah, I mean, as a member in the Department of Science and Technology, of course, it's also one of the aspects that we've actually explored. That is, in case if we could make few recommendations to the Ministry of Finance and SEBI, but like for example, Bombay Stock Exchange has already introduced SME markets, but of course one is on the policy side, but at the same time, as well as how the market actually perceives startups, is not the same way how you would have American markets actually perceiving it. So, which I fully second with. I mean that on failures, of course, the market is very sensitive. Right. So, and as well as when of course the private markets are so supportive and helping you to build value to all the stakeholders, I think we need to wait and watch for some more years before the market actually accepts the startups to be listed, and startups which are absolutely very I would say are extremely lean on assets. I think it's very hard for our Indian markets at this point of time to accept the startups which is actually building value outside of India. So, of course, visits like the Prime Minister's visit and some of the announcement is going to make an impact on, of course, in the market. I mean, the public awareness is increasing, and I'm sure that, of course, within few years you can expect more and more Indian startups to be listed in the Indian markets. Okay,
quick two-word comments I think we can get into. Anand, quick question from you. In terms of, or let's just get a consensus over here. Is it easier to invest in India now than it was when you guys started? Anand.
I would say yes, but I'd say that there are some more changes required. And I don't think that only government policies would help out here. I think the community, is also moving towards it, and that would be a bigger change. So government should help, but I think the community.
I think the most important policy that the government can do is stay out of the way, right? I think the entrepreneurs will figure out.
Take note of that.
Entrepreneurs will figure out the solutions of what they need to do. As long as the regulatory sort of regime stays out of the way, that's when you can innovate.
Okay, Mani.
I would say yes, it is easier, but
if you were starting out now, would it be easier? You would have set up in India?
Yes, but one concrete thing that I would request is make it easier to fail. For example, going bankrupt in India is a bloody disaster for the entrepreneur. That has to stop.
Okay. Pramod?
Yes, it's much easier. And I think the biggest reason for me to say that would be there's so many great examples now I see in front of us. That wasn't the case when I left India in 2001. It was really an example, but now I think there's so many great startups, and it's just much easier for me to have a confidence that this is the right thing to invest in India.
All right, Pramod, Manish, Alagu, Anand, Suhas and Naveen, pleasure having you with us. The power-packed panel of experts right in front of us. So as you can hear, there is some doubt, there is some clarity that is needed, but the optimism and enthusiasm is palpable, and clearly Prime Minister Modi's visit to the Silicon Valley is a sign of the fact that things are changing on ground. And you heard the startups from Silicon Valley say that they would now look at India differently, and if probably they were in India, they would have set up right now. Thank you so much for watching this special edition of Inside America. That's it from my end.